Following the unhinged ending of Emerald Fennell's hit movie Saltburn, there are still several questions that aren't answered by the time the credits roll. Like, how did Elspeth Catton end up in a coma? What happened to Farleigh? Will other Catton family members try to claim Saltburn? Saltburn's twisted protagonist Ollie is eventually revealed to have been plotting his eventual takeover of the Saltburn estate, proven by the final scene of the film, where Ollie is seen quite literally dancing on their graves. While some of the most bizarre moments in Saltburn symbolize the dark internal themes of the film, other aspects seem to leave some stones unturned to arrive at its unbelievably twisted ending. However, there are some unanswered questions and mysteries that we need to look into. Will Ollie get away with killing the Cattons? The biggest lingering question at the end of Saltburn is whether Ollie will get away with killing Felix, Venetia, and Elspeth Catton. Ollie was likely the most at risk of exposure immediately following the back-to-back deaths of Felix and Venetia, but was effectively saved by Sir James Catton, who paid him off to leave the Saltburn estate. The fact that there appeared to be no murder investigation looking into Ollie's involvement appears to be a logical stretch, but aligns with the Cattons' desire to pretend like their children's murders never happened. How did Sir James Catton die? From what Saltburn shows to its audience, Ollie took the money from Sir James Catton and left Saltburn unscathed. Presumably, Ollie would not have been allowed back to Saltburn under any circumstance, which is why he likely waited until James died naturally to reapproach Elspeth and Saltburn altogether. While it's not explicitly clear what James' cause of death was, whether James died of natural causes or even by suicide, certainly, Ollie was not involved in his death. However, we could assume that due to old age and grief, it might have been an illness. How did Elspeth Catton end up in a coma? By the film's end, Elspeth Catton invites Ollie back to Saltburn only to be killed by him while she is in a coma. While it's evident that Ollie somehow convinced Elspeth to legally change her will so that he would become sole heir to Saltburn, it's not clear how Ollie managed to poison her to the point where she had gone comatose. It's certainly not the most important detail, since it is a means to Ollie's ultimate end of inheriting Saltburn, but it would have been nice to know exactly how Ollie did it. What happened to Farleigh? Ollie successfully framed Farleigh to get him removed from Saltburn not once, but twice, even though Farleigh is much more of a legitimate family member than Ollie ever was. It's likely that he went back to Oxford or the United States and tried to reach back out to James and Elspeth, maybe even waiting until James' death to contact Elspeth directly, but none of this is made clear by the end of Saltburn. Knowing Farleigh's jealous and cagey nature, he will be furious to find out that Ollie laid claim to Saltburn and would probably take matters into his own hands for revenge. Will Duncan continue to serve Saltburn? Duncan is an odd but loyal character in Saltburn who serves both the Catton family and the Saltburn estate. If anything, Duncan would likely be the one who would become suspicious of Ollie's motives and the sudden death of Felix and Venetia, and the most likely to accuse Ollie of their murders. It's uncertain whether Duncan actually cares for the Catton family, or, like Ollie, simply loves living at Saltburn. With Ollie as Saltburn's owner at the end of the film, the audience is left to wonder what will become of Duncan. Did Ollie know about Saltburn before befriending Felix? The big reveal of Ollie's master plan at the end of Saltburn shows just how far back Ollie had been plotting to befriend Felix, although it's unclear just how far-reaching Ollie's initial plan was back at Oxford. Ollie had stalked Felix at school and had likely acquired knowledge of his extreme wealth, so it's entirely possible that Ollie knew about Saltburn all along and had set his sights on it from the start. It's also equally realistic that Ollie's obsession with Felix grew into a total consumption and imitation of everything that Felix had, making Saltburn the ultimate possession required to become just like Felix. How much money did James give Ollie to leave Saltburn? Ollie did leave Saltburn after James effectively kicked him out with a massive check in his pocket, which is strange considering he could have had him removed and banned from the premises without offering him a dime. However, Ollie likely posed too much of a threat to James for him to trust that he wouldn't come back without a hefty fee, and his apparent fear of Ollie is what led him to offer him a substantial amount. Ollie appears to have purchased a luxurious albeit smaller house of his own when he learns of James' death, but it's not clear how much of James' money he had used to buy it. Will other Catton family members try to claim Saltburn? Another major question concerning Ollie's fate is how long he will be able to retain ownership of Saltburn now that he's waited so long to acquire it. There certainly has to be more than just James, Elspeth, Felix, and Venetia in the immediate Catton family, meaning there should be some type of carefully constructed hierarchy as to who controls the family fortune after their deaths. Farleigh could have been written out of the will after Ollie framed him for Felix's death, but it seems hard to believe that no other relative or close friend of the Catton family would arise to dispute Ollie's claim to Saltburn.